On Money Monday, we bring on the money guest. This guy's on the money every single week, checking in with us from the Garden State, Fernando Uribe. He's a Ph.D. He's the host of Politically Direct on Insider NJ, faculty member at Bergen Community College. Fernando, thank you for joining us today. I know we have a number of things to talk about, but I want to ask you about something timely. I heard the head of the local Italian-American Society in New Jersey on the radio this morning talking about how he checked with the mayor of Newark if they were going to pull down the Columbus statue, and they were going to barricade themselves and try to block them. And the mayor told them no, and they had a sneaky suspicion that he was lying. They went there and guarded the thing at night, and sure enough, the mayor had ordered his people to come in and take the darn thing down. How bad is this, that the mayor is actually lying to his constituents and trying to pull down a Columbus statue in the thick of night?
Well, first of all, John, thanks for having me back on again. I love being on Money Monday. This is a story that I've been covering on my podcast here in New Jersey. Also, I'll be talking about on my live show tonight. It's such a disservice that Mayor Ras Baraka is doing in sort of caving to this mob culture that's overwhelming us right now when it comes to political correctness and everything else that's really involving identity politics, John. And it's really disappointing to see that he did this to such an active community, because for anyone that knows their history, especially about New Jersey and more specifically in Newark, we know that there's always been a very strong Italian-American presence there going back almost half a century. And we know that once those monuments were erected half a century ago, we know that the Italian community has been very invested in Newark. They've never left. And for whatever reason, Mayor Ras Baraka seems to be caving into Black Lives Matter and all these other sort of social justice movements in taking these statues down. I mean, John, it's fascinating to me and also sort of irritating that a guy that passed away in 1506, like statues of him are still triggering people over 500 years later after his death. It's mind-boggling to me, John.
It is pretty crazy to me, and I just don't understand if they have a point, which is, social justice, income inequality, whatever the number of points are, and I agree with a lot of them. I don't know how going back to Christopher Columbus actually helps anything other than it's ticking off a bunch of Italian guys, which is probably bad news. And I'm actually going to try to call this guy Ras Baraka today and find out, what caused him to do this. But more importantly, we continue here on Liquid Lunch. We're broadcast on Biz TV, which goes to 40 million homes across America on different local cable affiliates and over the air. But we also have a quite fun social media audience on Facebook, and they keep clipping out my sound. They won't let us promote the podcast. They keep rejecting our boosts. And I actually signed up for Parler, and I know Parler is the new place where the cool kids are going to start hanging out, from what I understand.
Absolutely. And this was a story that broke last week in the Wall Street Journal. And one of the biggest complaints that the Trump administration has had about social media is its blatant anti-conservative bias, not only with Facebook, but more importantly, Twitter. And it's such a refreshing, sight for me to see that over 1 million new users have joined Parler. And again, when I think about what Mr. Motz has done, the CEO of Parler, in the way that he's promoted this platform, I think it's absolutely commendable. When we talk about entrepreneurial, this is as good as it gets, John. When we talk about trying to encompass more of a following on social media, and it's not just for conservatives. I mean, Mr. Motz has also been trying to encourage liberals to join Parler as well, because as we know, Twitter does censor conservative speech. I've had some tweets of mine flagged because I've retweeted tweets from the president, from his son, from other conservative commentators, and you'd be surprised how getting those notifications are absolutely irritating. But more and more Americans are going to Parler, and I think that's a good thing as this election season heats up.
So I don't know if you saw, but last week I had to terminate Nico temporarily for throwing me in the pool. I don't know if you were watching that day, but I
was aware, yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of funny, and I'm okay with poking fun at myself, so we cut it into a little video, and we titled it "Conservative News Host Thrown in Pool," and I figured that would be funny. Maybe even some liberals would get a laugh out of seeing a Trump guy get thrown in the pool by his producer, and they flagged it as political content. because it said conservative news host. They didn't even look at it that the host was being humiliated. So I joined Parler. I'm still trying to figure it out if they have the capacity like Facebook to do live streaming, like the stuff we're doing with the Facebook audience. But because on my show, we've had Democrats and Republicans on all the time for the last year. So I want a good, healthy debate. I want conversation. It seems like all the work they do to filter out is all one-sided on Facebook. Maybe Parler will be at least a good, objective place.
I would agree with you. And one of the things that really interests me about Parler, it's very easy to use. It's easy to navigate for people that maybe aren't very savvy with social media or technology overall. And again, it's refreshing just to see alternatives, John. I mean, listen, all we talk about, right, in the marketplace is competition, right? I mean, that's sort of one of the basic dimensions of capitalism is you want the free market system to prevail. And I think that's what's happening right now. Is it going to sort of overcome Twitter in this election season in less than, 120 days? Probably not, but we're getting more of a following. And that's a good thing for political discussions, John.
No, it certainly is. And, look, if it becomes an echo chamber, if you only have the voice on one side going through the whole thing, people lose interest. It's not good content. But tell me what's going on. You're a faculty member over at Bergen Community College. And our last couple of minutes here, I know that students seem to be in a really tough predicament here. They got to pay these crazy student loans, but some of them are not even sure if they're going to get on campus.
Absolutely. And this is one of the biggest problems, not just that New Jersey's facing, but every state around the country, John, as the fall semester is quickly approaching. And we know that for millions of students, including myself, I'm still paying back my loans from graduate school. I mean, temporarily, the CARES Act, which, again, allows federal student loans to be postponed until September. That is such a welcome sight for so many students in this country, but it still doesn't solve the overwhelming problem of the student loan debt and the crisis that's sort of overcoming our economy. We know that many states, including New Jersey, are still waiting for a federal bailout, which I commend the president for not doing to New Jersey and New York, because they've been both fiscally irresponsible for many years. And to think that they should just be bailed out because they asked for it, I think is reckless on their part. But more importantly, it puts students in a very precarious position because coming up for the fall, they don't know whether or not they should, A, register, and B, whether or not they should accept either their subsidized or unsubsidized loans that they'll be getting via the federal government or even from private banks. And again, my heart goes out to them because I know that right now I'm not struggling to pay them, but it's a reasonable amount. But not everybody is as fortunate as me. And I've been trying to be an advocate here in New Jersey for students on my social media platforms to ask for accountability of our elected officials. I mean, the CARES Act is not enough. What is the federal government doing to provide more additional relief for our students or for people that are paying back their loans? John, again, I'm not saying sort of forgive student aid overall, because I think that could be catastrophic to the bubble itself. But something has to happen at the federal level to provide a relief that I think that so many millions of Americans are in dire need of.
Yep, it sounds like a plan. Honestly, I got, starting in September, 2 kids in college. And there's a very good chance that both may be remote. So, it turns into like one of these online classes, but, both Marist and Wagner College are well above $40,000 a year. And I may have my 2 daughters in their bedrooms taking their college curriculum. So,
and John, I'm sorry, and you're still paying a full tuition. It's not like these universities are going to give you a discount for remote learning, and they're still going to charge you every fee possible. They're going to charge you every possible amenity that the college university enacts on their students, and it's just unfair. No
doubt about it. All right, we're going to have to leave it there. We got to jump right now. Fernando Uribe, thank you so much. Check him out tonight on Insider NJ, Politically Direct, and his podcast is really taking off. Thanks a lot, brother. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you again soon. John. All right, that's Fernando Uribe. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back with some more news of the day right after this.